back in the woods.
Morning guys, Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School, back with another Diary of the Tipi. What we're going to talk about today, staying with our primitive theme, we're going to talk about gourd containers. Okay, gourd containers were used by woodland Indians for a long time. Even after European contact along the frontier, they were still using gourds for containers. They grew gourds along with beans, maize, and other things like that in their gardens. They were agricultural at that point in the later woodland period. And gourds make great containers. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about how to make gourd containers. We've got a gourd container here that I already made. That's basically a water container that I have hanging in the teepee that I made years and years ago. I've got a gourd here that's a dried gourd that we're going to use as an example of a dipping gourd. And we're going to make that today. So if you guys stick around, we'll get right after it. Okay guys, in order to make this gourd a dipping gourd, we have to open it up and we have to clean it out. What I'm going to use for that is I'm going to use a primitive flake. This is the same flake that we popped off that nozzle the other day that we used to cut that leather with, and now we're going to use it to process this gourd. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find a piece of charcoal, if I can, in the fire pit that's cool, and I want to score a line where I want to cut this gourd. Okay guys, so what I want to do is I want to cut this gourd off, leaving that handle. So I'm just going to score around this thing as best I can, keeping it even and level, just to give myself a chalked line here to look at that I'm going to cut off. Okay, nothing to it. Now we're going to take our flake and we're going to begin to score this thing with our flake. And I don't want to go too hard with this because, like I said, this gourd is dried out. So I'm going to use kind of a sawing motion. I don't want to break this gourd in the process. For some getting down and dirty work here. There we go. Now we can actually put some force behind this dude. Now we're getting somewhere. Alright, there we go, guys. Now, this part right here becomes a bowl. And this part right here becomes a dipper. Now, can see we've got a seed pod in here that needs to be cleaned out. And these are viable seeds probably. So we're definitely not going to throw those away. We're going to hang on to those and we're going to plant them. And now it's a matter of cleaning all this stuff out of the inside of this. You can see all those seeds in there. And we'll take all of those seeds and we'll put them in a bandana. Take them out and plant them. As I'd say that they are all viable. And we want to clean that thin film. There's a thin film in there. Hold that seed pod in there. We want to clean that whole thing out. Get all that film out with the seeds. And you can see all the seeds in there, and I've got a bunch of them in my hand. We'll take those outside and get rid of that and put those in a good spot to plant them, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've cleaned the seeds out of this thing now. And now we really just need to make sure that we clean the inside of this out real good. We will make a wooden plug for this hole here in a few minutes so that we can seal that off with beeswax. We can take any kind of a stone that we've got, just like this abrading stone, and we can smooth this up. And if this is not going to do what we need it to do, then we can get a sharper one, or I should say a more coarse one. But all I'm trying to do is smooth the edges out without breaking it. Now we just need to ensure that we've got everything cleaned out of the inside of it. And again, you know, that's what we got a stone flake for. We can scrape the inside of that thing out with this flake real good. Make sure we got all that membrane out of there. Scrape around the inside real good. Now we're just using this thing like a thumb scraper. So we use it for a knife, we used it for a saw, we used it to score, and now we're using it basically like a thumb scraper. So that piece of flint's doing a lot of stuff for us. That one simple stone flake can be used for a lot of tools. Blow the dust out of it. Fairly clean. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make a plug. At this point, we'll need to make a plug for this thing that will cover that hole right there that goes back into the stem of this gourd. Okay guys, I just got a small wooden plug here that's about the right size. I'm just going to shove it in there and then I'll seal that up with beeswax when I'm done. I just want it to fit fairly flush, just like that. That's fine. Now I need to get rid of this stem. I can snap it off as far as I can. I just want to see what condition it's in. Now I'm going to take my flake and cut the rest of it off of there with my flake. Put a little pressure on there. The flake might be starting to get just a little bit dull. We can always nap it in to bring it home later. So I'm just pushing in and using my thumb to push it forward, kind of like a sawing motion. You know, manipulating a stone flake is no different than manipulating a knife. You just got to figure out what the leverage points are and stuff, and then you can do it. Okay, in pretty good shape there. Just round that off a little bit with our stone. Okay, now the next thing I want to do before I line this thing with beeswax is I kind of want to put a lanyard on here so I can hang it. That means I got to drill a hole in it. So let's think about that for just a second, because I think I got a solution that we can do primitively and easily. Stay with me. Okay guys. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I've drawn a line around this thing so I know where my holes are going to be. I'm going to take an arrow with a stone point. I'm going to put this between my feet, and I'm going to use this arrow as a drill. Just like this. Okay. Now we've got a hole drilled in there. Now we can ream it out. Okay, now we've got holes drilled on both sides. We can take one of our antler tines that we use for napping, get one with a good wedge on it, and we should be able to just kind of ream that thing out a little bit and make it fairly smooth, just like that. We'll do the same thing on this side, just like that. Now we got a hole we can see straight through there. They put a lanyard through it. Okay, so far so good.